All right, good people, good people, good people. Welcome back to another episode of Song of the Week. I am the one and only, you know me by now, Jordan Bell. The other guy you see on your screen is my dog, my college roommate, the one, the only, David Grunfeld. David, what's happening?
JB, things are fantastic. Well, the world is on fire, but things in my immediate life and being here with you right now is fantastic. And yeah, man, excited for another edition of Song of the Week. I think you and I both, when I come on and do Song of the Week, I kind of find myself always getting into like my nostalgic feels. Like when it's like, what am I listening to? It's like I listen to a lot of things, but like the core things that I want to talk about are always those nostalgic um songs that like bring me back to a place in time specifically. And so I think I'm going to continue on with that theme today and honor my 12-year-old self with my selection. And I think based on our quick conversation, it sounds like you're maybe not the exact same thing, but going back a little bit as well.
Yeah, no, I love that, man. So yeah, we talked a little bit earlier, and one of the things that I was thinking about as I was listening to music kind of throughout this week, is I was thinking about like some of the music that I got into early in my music listening career. We've talked about like the music that our parents had us listening to. That's obviously the first music that you're introduced to, and then you're introduced to like the music that you see like on television shows, right? Like Disney Channel. We did Brink as one of our reboots, you and I. We've talked about some of the Disney Channel music, you know, Mulan, Hercules, some of that stuff. But it kind of all led to me thinking about what music did I listen to when it was my choice? Like when I was able to pick the music, what music did I start with? And so it had me wondering, bro, what's the first album that you can remember either buying or asking your parents to buy for you?
It's a great question. Um, and when we talked briefly earlier, I started thinking about it, and I'm trying to figure out. I think the first album I asked my parents to buy me was if we're really gonna be straight up about it, it was probably like the Baha Men album,
Ooh. Who
and
let the dogs out?
because Who Let the Dogs Out was poppin',
Yep.
and we were probably 10,
Yeah, I was about to
like
say preteens for sure.
yeah,
Preteens.
10, 11, 9, 10, 11 around there, and I love that song. I love
What movie made that song popular? Was it like Snow
uh
Dogs or something like
Something
that?
like that, yeah, something like that. Some kid-friendly dog movie,
Yep.
and I love the music video. We've also done a segment, talking about how music videos have shaped how we view the world and things.
Sure.
So I love the music video, and, this was a time where, like, when there was a hit single, you couldn't just go, like, stream even before you couldn't download the single, you had to just get the album if you wanted to listen to that song, and so I think that was probably the first album I, like, asked for as, like, a
Hmm.
really like a super young kid. The first album that I bought myself was probably a Green Day or a Blink-182 album when I was in, like, 5th or 6th grade. It was probably, like, Damn It or, like, something in that region.
Yeah.
How about you? What's the answer for you?
Yeah, so I kind of have two answers. So the first answer, and I'm not embarrassed by this by any means, but it was 100% Little Bow Wow, Beware of Dog,
Yeah,
the album where he's rocking the Tim Couch jersey and he's got the pit bull on the chain
of
on the
course.
cover of it.
Ohio
Uh,
legend, Tim Couch.
yeah, bro. So like, yeah, exactly. So Bow Wow was I think he claims Atlanta, but he was at the time we thought of him as a Columbus dude. At least people in Ohio did. We thought of him as a Columbus rapper, um, and I just remember like he had like I mean he was rapping with Snoop Dogg. He was 12 and he was rapping with Snoop Dogg, and every girl my age wanted to whatever whatever the most promiscuous act 12-year-olds wanted to do at the time. They wanted to do that with Lil Bow Wow. Right? Like I don't know exactly how advanced we were, but every girl wanted to be with Bow Wow.
Yeah.
And every dude wanted to be Little Bow Wow. Like everybody wanted the I definitely remember asking my mom if I could grow my hair out and have the braids. And it was like a mix of like Bow Wow and Iverson were like kind of the people
Oof.
that you wanted to be like back in
Oh,
that
AI
day.
was so fucking cool, man.
Yeah. So
man, still is.
yeah, so Little Bow Wow, Beware of Dog. I remember like you obviously know my mother. My mother was very like conservative with how like she was not one of those parents that embraced hip hop early.
Mhm.
So she was very much like, I don't know. If it's got the parental advisory sticker on it, we're not buying it. And I remember, she's gonna laugh when she hears this, but I remember her asking the guy behind the counter at the CD store, because again, like you said, you had to go to a
Yeah.
CD store to buy the music.
Oh, yeah.
I remember her asking the dude, like, "Is it any good?" and the guy goes, I mean, it's okay.
All right.
It's a 12-year-old rapping about macking on chicks. Like,
Yep.
it is what it is.
Probably not for you. Probably
Yeah.
not.
Probably not. You're not going to enjoy it, but
your
your son clearly will like it.
Yeah.
So
funny.
that was the first album that I bought, like, or you know, whether or not it was my money.
Sure.
It technically it was my mother's money because it was money that she gave to me. But so there was that. And then like the first album, and I think I may have talked about this once on the podcast before, but the first album that somebody gave me as like a burned CD. So like the first album that I could listen to in my Walkman and my mom didn't know I was listening to it basically, was College Dropout.
So good.
And that was like the first album that I picked out for myself basically that I listened to on repeat.
Yeah.
Like there was one summer somebody gave me College Dropout on a burnt CD and I had a little Walkman and you know, we were the type of kids to ride our bikes through the neighborhoods, walk around the neighborhoods, whatever. And I listened to that album the entire summer.
Oh yeah. I'm still like that. When I find a project that I'm like really into or a song that I love, I'll just like listen to it to death. And as we're talking about it, it's not my first, but something that was like to date myself further. And just something I remember about like the era of like discovering music. You know, we're from a time where like, especially mixtapes, right? If there was a mixtape that you liked that was like on DatPiff or, you know, whatever the fuck, whatever website you got your mixtapes on, you had to burn it, right? You had to burn it onto a CD. And that's how I discovered Kid Cudi's music, right? Was like burning Kid Cudi's mixtapes and early projects onto like, again, you younger listeners and viewers, this is real, even though it doesn't sound real. You would go to like an Office Depot or like a Best Buy and you'd buy like a stack of like 50 blank CDs and you'd have them at your house.
Yep.
And when you wanted to listen to the mixtape in your car, you had to move all that shit onto a CD and then you could put it in your CD player. And I did that with all of Cudi's projects and I did that with, you know, all those mixtapes of our high school era. And that, you know, and thinking back on it, like that was such a part of me falling in love with the art form, right? It was like going through that like labor of love of like doing these things. And when you do that, you like end up listening to every song, right? Because you have the whole project in there and it's not easy to switch between to go to the next artist. So you're like, I'm just going to listen to the whole thing. And then you listen to it, like you're saying, you listen to it all summer and you listen to it 1,000 times and you form these connections to the music and the artists that I think are deeper than they otherwise would be, which is really cool.
Bro, one more story and then we'll get into Song of the Week.
Sure.
There was one trip and it was me and you, we rolled up to Cleveland and we were hanging.
I was going to bring this up if you didn't.
Okay.
So
okay. So, and we're hanging out with my Uncle Lester and
fabulous, dude.
Think my Uncle Lester, who those of you who don't know, my Uncle Lester is a legend. But
best.
Think I lost. So this is during the time of aux cords.
Oh yeah.
So you could connect your phone to the aux cord, and that's how you got the music to the stereo. Right, exactly. As opposed, like we had moved past burned CDs and moved up to these aux cords.
That was the next level, right?
And bro, I lost the aux cord or it broke. I can't remember what happened to the aux cord, but we're on our way to Cleveland from Worcester. and we realized that we don't have this aux cord, and I've got like 5 CDs in the back of the car, and I'm like, bro, this is all we have. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, David, but it was the Fabulous Nightmare on Elm Street mixtape that I had burned on there.
Correct.
Yes, and we listened to that. We listened to that. We maybe you came home with me that weekend. I can't remember what it was.
It was like a spring break.
Yeah, because it was like
5 days.
It was multiple days where that's all we had to listen to, and it felt archaic, right?
Yeah.
It felt like we had gone back
we
100 years.
Traveling back in time. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah,
Good
dude.
times.
As soon as you said you came to Cleveland, I was like, Fabulous mixtape.
Yep.
All day and night. And
it's the only CD we had in the car.
By the end of that weekend, I was a bigger Fabulous fan than I was at the start of it. So,
and it honestly what probably happened was it was the last CD that I had burned before I bought an aux cord, and it was just the only CD that was left in there.
Your car. Yeah, no, exactly. No, listen, that's how we used to do it back in the day, kids.
That's right.
We had to grind. All right, it was hard, but we're here now, and now we have access to every song ever made, basically, in one version or another. Do you want to give? Excuse me. Do you want to give your song of the week, Jordan, first, or do you want me to?
No, I can hop right into it. So again, no rhyme or reason this week to why I picked this song. This song came on while I was lifting a week or so ago, and I kind of marked it as a song that I wanted to talk about. We have, become popular for our Michael Jackson versus Prince debate, and I have stood very tall on the Michael Jackson side, but we haven't actually picked any Michael Jackson music. And so my song of the week this week is going to be I Want to Be Where You Are by the one and only Little Michael. This is from 1972. Off of Michael Jackson's first solo album, Got to Be There, off of Motown. Man, like he was so talented, bro. So he was 13 when he recorded this album. His first solo album came out when he was 14. This is after obviously being in the Jackson 5 since he was like 7 and performing in Vegas with his brothers as the Jacksons, the Jackson 5, whatever, coming out with all types of albums with his brothers. I think this album was released 2 or 3 months after the Jackson 5 Ultimate Hits album, which is another album that I have. And bro, it's just Michael. Like, it's Little Michael at his best. Like, he's already the most famous young person we've ever seen, on his way up to becoming the most famous person of the last 300, 400 years, however long you want to put it. But like, the vocals are incredible, man. Like, he was such a talented singer at such a young age. Like, his voice was just untouchable, bro. Like, it's a truly remarkable time in history to have this one just anomaly at the peak of his powers for that long, right? Like, what was Michael Jackson's prime from 8 to 55? You know what I mean? Like, he had this incredible career where he was lights out the entire time. And so this is off of his first solo project. Like I said, man, the first solo album, Got to Be There. Rockin' Robin's on this album. Got to Be There. The song is on this album. He does a rendition of Bill Withers. I'm blanking on the name of the song now. Bill Withers' biggest hit, Ain't No Sunshine. And then my favorite song off of this album, I Want to Be Where You Are, with the incredible Motown sounds. It's a hit. It's an incredible hit by the one and only Young Michael. If you haven't heard the song by now, shame on you, but go check it out. I Want to Be Where You Are, Michael Jackson, 1972 is my song of the week.
Amazing choice. Yeah, the run you described, the term the king of pop doesn't get thrown around lightly for a reason, like being when anyone enters into a sphere of being famous on a global, kind of perspective, I think Michael Jackson is like still probably the barometer for like, well, are they Michael Jackson famous? Where like the entire world literally knows this person and has for their entire life. Yeah, what a testament is his talent. And Little Michael, dude, hard to compete with that. I'd put like Who's Loving You, like his
It's a great one.
Definition of Who's Loving You, when I heard that for the first time, I was in college when I heard that for the first time, and I was, like, almost moved to tears, it's like that level of talent, vocally. So, amazing choice, and what a song to come on at the gym as you're lifting, unbelievable.
Oh, I cranked it out.
Yeah, I'm sure. Little Michael fueling you the whole way. Great choice. My song of the week is a different era, was kinda came to me, I think, when we were chatting earlier, and I was kind of deciding between a few different songs, a few different things I've been listening to. And you asked, like, what was the first thing that you bought, or you listened to? And it got me thinking. It wasn't the first thing, but for like it was my 12th or 13th birthday, or some holiday around that time. My parents gifted me the album. I want to make sure I get the name right. Good News for People Who Like Bad News, which is an album by the band Modest Mouse. And it's it's really a great album. It's one of those albums that I loved the first time I listened to it when I was 13, and I still love it now. I can listen to it all the way through. It's super interesting because I think it's both very reflective of its time. It came out in 2004, so it has the, like, alt rock, but still kind of pop rock, trappings, or kind of like framework of like what the overall sound and like album feels like. But it's also super timeless and like feels very listenable today. And part of that is because they're just fun. I think they have fun as a band, and you can kind of feel that. But they're just, I love the lyrics. I really enjoy, um, how they convey the messages in their songs that still are catchy and listenable. And I think the best example of that on the album, and maybe one of my favorite examples of like rock and roll lyrics and ever, is the song Ocean Breathes Salty, which is the fourth, let me double check that. Yep, fourth song on the album. We've talked on the channel several times before about like starts to albums, or like runs of albums where there's like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 songs where it's like, wow, that's a really great stretch of music. Um, the first like three to five songs of this album are really, really great. And I would say like the crescendo of that is this song Ocean Breeze Salty, which is kind of like dramatic and like big, but also very grounded. It's kind of like a take on death, but done in a way that's like very introspective and like beautiful, actually. And like I mentioned the lyrics, and it's just one of my favorite lyrics of all time, and it's one of my favorite like descriptions of death ever, which is kind of sounds weird to say out loud, but in an artistic sense, that death is a common theme, I think, across lots of different mediums. And throughout the song we keep going back to this refrain, um like, you wasted life, why wouldn't you waste death? And the line to describe death is, you missed when time and life shook hands and said goodbye, which is like just such a beautiful and kind of morbid, but like, I don't know, I find almost like comforting way of thinking about death, like time and life shaking hands and parting. It's just like a very cosmic way of looking at things. And I think it's just a beautiful song, and a really, really cool album, and a very influential band of the time in those early 2000s. They were a big influence in that scene. So my song of the week, a nostalgic pick, a really good one if you've never heard it, and if you have, definitely worth a re-listen. Ocean Breeze Salty by Modest Mouse, off Good News for People Who Like Bad News.
All right. Some nostalgia this week on Song of the Week. You get
Oh, you know
some
us.
stories of me and you rolling around, who knows, in Northeast Ohio, doing God knows what. And that's back when I called the car the Honey Wagon. Back in the Honey Wagon, back in the day.
Jesus. Those were the days, weren't they?
Yeah. Whew. If the walls could talk, my brother.
Yeah, yeah. You know what, though? Shout out Uncle Lester. I gotta say,
Yeah.
just to
Shouts out to
second that,
Les.
because as you were mentioning it, Lester, you're the greatest, my guy. Haven't seen you in way too long. I hope you're doing well.
Same. Same.
Ultimate friend of the channel,
Yes.
Uncle Les, always.
Yes, absolutely. We got to get him on at some point.
Oh, absolutely. Long
So,
overdue. Long overdue.
well, good deal, man. Great music, some nostalgia. So we give the listeners something to go check out. If you haven't heard those songs yet, be sure to check them out. Dave, you got anything else before we hop?
That's all I got, brother. Be safe out there, everybody. Protect each other.
Be safe out there. The weather is starting to turn a little bit, so bundle up. And until next time, you know who we are. This is Song of the Week. Peace.